Week 10 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and it's starting to get intense, man. This is the weekly update. Okay, so we're through 10 weeks of the regular season, and the trade deadline has officially passed. No trades happened. Nothing. I thought for sure there would be some sort of blockbuster. I thought somebody would try to do something, but nobody did anything. And the trade deadline came and went like a booty call. There were 11 total trades this year, down a little bit from last year's total of 14. This year's top trader was tight end to wide receiver with 5 trades, followed by What You Talking About Hillis, and last year's top trader Rusty Strombone with 4. The total overall record was set last year by Strombone with 7 trades. The guy was a trading fool last year. And 2 teams in the league had just 1 trade, Golden Showers and Open Slot. And interestingly, they were both with the same team. 2 teams in the league had 0 trades, that is Team Blumpkin and Preventable Losses. Last year there was only 1 team that didn't participate in any trades, and that was the annexation of Puerto Rico, which means that there have been 0 trades in the entire franchise history of the Preventable Losses team. Steven Jackson and Anquan Bolden were the most traded players this year. Each of them were traded twice, and each of them played for both tight end to wide receiver and Toddler Fight Club at some point during the season, although neither of them will be finishing the season with either team. The first trade of the season took place during the draft, as the Gotham Rogues traded Marshawn Lynch for Arian Foster because Bobby J famously missed the opening rounds of the draft and didn't get his man. The next trade didn't take place until 22 days later, when Hillis traded Cam to Rusty Strombone for Reggie Wayne. This was the longest period between trades of the entire season. After that, it was a little more fast and furious. The last trade of the season took place on November 1st, when Showerhug traded Steve Smith and Jared Cook to the Golden Showers for Greg Olson and Julian Edelman. Over the next 12 days, there was a lot of negotiation, but no agreements were reached, as each team decided to look inward for the strength to compete for a playoff spot. Okay, the standings with 3 to play. Toddler Fight Club and Showerhug both lost this week. Tight end to wide receiver and the Golden Showers both won this week. So once again, we have 4 teams tied at the top of the league. 3 at the top of the Porter division, all at 7-3. The other 6 teams still all bunched up. Everybody who needed to win to keep the group all jumbled together won. We have a 5-5 team, we have 2 4-6 teams, and we have 3 3-7 teams. All the games coming up this week, very interesting. So let's get into it. Key matchups. This week, the 3-7 teams have their backs against the wall. But interestingly enough, each team has an opportunity to win, and they don't have to battle with each other just yet. 3-7 Open Slot, tied at the bottom of the number 2 division, faces off against the 7-3 Showerhug, who sits atop the number 2 division. In this matchup, Showerhug is trying to position itself to lock up a top playoff spot, and the Open Slot is just trying to stay alive. Also trying to stay alive at 3-7 is What You Talking About Hillis, who faces off against 5-5 Preventable Losses team, who's also trying to position themselves for the playoffs. With a win by Showerhug and a loss by Preventable Losses, the Hug locks up the number 2 division and no lower than the number 2 seed and a first round bye in the playoffs. Now if Preventable Losses wins this week, regardless of what Showerhug does, the following week's matchup is going to be huge. Also at 3-7 is the Rusty Strombone, who faces off against the Team Blumpkin squad at 4-6. This is a non-divisional contest, but the Blumpkin is definitely in the playoff picture, and Rusty Strombone needs to win and keep winning and probably get some help to get into the playoffs. The other game worth mentioning is tight end to wide receiver at 7-3 versus the Gotham Rogues at 4-6. Both teams right in the playoff hunt. I mean, obviously, tight end to wide receiver is positioned very well. Gotham very much alive, and the squad is looking pretty strong right now. It's got some momentum, so we'll see what happens. But the game of the week this week is none other than the 7-3 Toddler Fight Club versus the 7-3 Golden Showers for at least a share of the division lead, with 2 games left to play before the playoffs. Both Toddler Fight Club and the Golden Showers have been having problems with their quarterback. The Golden Showers has seen 3 straight bad games from Matt Ryan, and they have no idea what to expect from him this week. And on the TFC side, well, I got bad news for you, Eagles fans. Nick Foles, out for the year. Something about that Tyler Fight Club. The quarterbacks are going down. They're dropping like flies. So Aaron Rodgers goes down with a broken collarbone. Out 4 to 6 weeks, although they're saying he might try to come back before that. Tyler Fight Club picks up Jake Locker and Jay Cutler, his most hated player in sport, to bridge the gap until Aaron Rodgers comes back. He starts Jake Locker because Jay Cutler is his most hated player in sport. Both players go down with injury. Jake Locker goes down for the entire season. Jay Cutler only for a little while. So he drops Jay Cutler for Case Keenum and Jake Locker for Nick Foles. So if you're an Eagles fan, sorry in advance. Both of these teams have good wide receivers, they have good tight ends, good flex position. They both have some question marks at running back, which will be answered this weekend. Now, Tyler Fight Club is no stranger to late season battles. We noted that in last week's special. But he's coming off a loss, and he would definitely like to get some momentum going on his way into the playoffs. The Golden Shower is also no stranger to late season surges, is looking at the playoffs for the first time this year, and wants to keep things going in the right direction. Now, he kind of controls his own destiny a little bit more than the other two teams, Tyler Fight Club and tight end to wide receiver, because the Golden Showers plays Tyler Fight Club this week and tight end to wide receiver next week. So if he can win this week and win next week, they put themselves in pretty good position with one game to play going into the playoffs. However, that also means that the Golden Showers has the hardest schedule with 3 games remaining. Their third game is against a Gotham Rogues team, also a division rival, who may be riding a hot streak and trying to fight their way into the playoffs for the first time. Tyler Fight Club has what you would call the easiest road to the playoffs, because if they can get through the Golden Showers, that gives them a should win against Team Blumpkin and a closer against a What You Talking About Hillis squad, who by that point might be kicked back drinking a beer with a funky label on it. Alright guys, this week's hero. Now before we get to the hero, it's worth noting 2 things. Number 1, this week's hero was going to be for sure Gotham, because Gotham went nuts. He put up 160 points this week against the division leader in order to put himself in a good position for the playoffs and just kind of really gum up the works, which is excellent with 3 games to play. But we did have an incredibly close contest where an even more desperate team than the Gotham Rogues made an even more thrilling win to stay alive in the playoffs. But the other thing I have to note is that the score, I guess, was corrected between the end of the games and now, which is the filming, obviously, of this. At the end of the games, there was a 0.1 point differential in Open Slot's victory this week. But I just went and checked it, and apparently there was some sort of a stat correction that I did not do. There was like an official stat correction to somebody's score along the way that took away another point from What You Talking About Hillis to make the final score within 1.1 point. But anyway you slice it, Open Slot wins to go to 3-7 to get tied up with What You Talking About Hillis and Rusty Strombone, just 1 loss behind Team Blumpkin and the Gotham Rogues, all fighting for that last playoff spot with 3 games to play. Very, very exciting. Final score 117.5 to 116.4. Open Slot gets 41.7 points from Drew Brees. 22.6 points. Don't hate Golden Tate. Don't hate Golden Tate. Don't hate Golden Tate. What You Talking About Hillis put together, a valiant effort. Gave him all he could handle. But for some reason, it seems like What You Talking About Hillis is always involved in very close games. The man likes the drama, I guess. He likes to be on the edge. And I like that about him. I like that about you, Bobby. But you got to do something about these IR players on your team, man. What's going on, Bob? What are we doing with these guys on the bench? What are we doing with this? So once again, What You Talking About Hillis leaves everybody a little, frustrated and confused. But Open Slot walks away with a big, huge, clutch win. Keeps the standings really, really tight, which is the best possible thing you could want with 3 games left to play when everybody is still alive and chasing the playoffs. All right, this week's GOAT. The game of the week so often lives up to the hype and is, a great contest between 2 teams that have a lot at stake. Well, this one was a little bit of a stinker. Not because it was low scoring necessarily, but because Shower Hug was so low scoring. 74.7 points is the lowest score in Shower Hug franchise history, beating a previous low of 85.3 set last year. Not only is it the lowest score in Shower Hug franchise history, it's the 5th lowest score in the history of the league. No player on Shower Hug's team scored 15 points. Romo had 11.1, Matt Forte had an 8.9, Vincent Jackson had a 5.8, Larry Fitzgerald is a bum. No, that's not true. The difference between a bum and a hobo is that a hobo works. Bums don't have jobs. Larry Fitzgerald is a hobo. So tight end to wide receiver pulls even with Shower Hug at 7 and 3. Julius Thomas scored over 20 points. Darren Sproles scored over 25 points. And to top it all off, because preventable losses won this week, Shower Hug's disgusting offensive performance loses them a full game in the divisional standings in the race for the playoffs. And for that, Shower Hug is this week's GOAT. Alright guys, that's it. Week 10 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember that there's only 3 games left. Anything can happen. I'm pretty psyched. I'll see you next week, where it's always sunny.